audio recording device here records everything. It doesn't filter anything out. If there's stuff that's too far away for it to register, that's just a matter of it being cheap. The rest of this stuff has digital enhancement crap that will shut stuff off. So the recording that I just tried to play in the last video, I did have to pause because, here, let me unplug this and get it untangled. I did have to pause because a man who he does want to advocate, and he is at least trying, even though it's not actually appropriate for him to be advocating. The fact is that somebody needs to, and he's the only person who's actually willing to give an effort. Today, he did recognize that, yes, my abilities and disabilities are important. My inability to take care of myself is for a reason. So we're going to play one recording, and then I'm going to hopefully try to sleep, but I got a lot of anxiety because I had to try to turn in the protection order violation by Andrew Wolnez, but obviously it is unsafe for me to go to the local police. Someone needs to put a stop to their abuse. Somebody needs to do something about the fact that I was harmed repeatedly in their jail, that I was denied my rights as a human being, that I had to face my predators, including Mary Garrick Trevino, and of course the DA's office, and Lieutenant Silvera and all of his filthy nastiness. The fact that they got busted lying by somebody that they thought was retarded. The fact that they thought that destroying the body camera evidence by stretching this out as long as possible was going to work out after they were so sloppy with their paperwork. Their paperwork is what got them fucking busted. Their paperwork. Them pretending Natalie Bollinger was a delusion, and that Andrew Wolnez was a delusion, and that all of these other things that are literally live on YouTube, it's not like they're the only people who have access to that. All of you have access to see that. So, of course, when there's a safety issue with the police, there's other agencies that are supposed to pick it up, and they're supposed to take it seriously. Since Andrew Wolnez violated the protection order, however, I've been arrested. Meanwhile, I was without an attorney, so the second time that they arrested me for improper use of 911, I have no idea which thing that it is that I called in that they were calling improper use of 911. Whether it was the situation where I tried to turn in violations of the protection order to Officer Neubauer, or whether it was when I tried to turn in the violations of the protection order to David Martinez, or if it was when I tried to turn in the violations of the protection order to Lynn Lothman, or if it was the times that I tried to turn in these situations to Timothy Sadler. Now, that's all just with Andrew Wolnez within about 2 weeks before I was arrested for improper use of 911. Then there's Massam Vijan threatening to kill me that I tried to turn in. And Massam Vijan attempting to sexually abuse Stormy Sweatland that I tried to turn in. Him throwing ball hitches at my head, I tried to turn that in. When he came at me with a pipe back in March or April. I want to say it would have been, it was April of 2023, the first time that he came at me with that pipe. Came at me with it again in May of 2023. That second time he come at me with a pipe, Timothy Sadler showed up to obstruct justice. And this is only a day after he tried to obstruct justice with the situation with Andrew Wolnez. And I had to turn it into his superior. And I know I said the wrong name earlier. I think I said Hollis and it was Hiller or fuck. I can never remember those two guys' names. They're both of the supervising sergeants. So I made 14 calls today, I believe, altogether. I made 3 of them with, well, I made 3, but it ended up being 5 calls overall because we were transferred twice. Each one of these places saying it's not their job, I have to turn it into somebody else. Excuse me, but it's illegal for you to send me back to the Tillamook police to turn shit in after they've committed felonies against me for trying to turn shit in. See, the things they wanted to pretend were schizophrenic delusions are on YouTube. Live on YouTube for God and everyone to see. A lot of people are completely fucking baffled by that. They keep asking me why that is. Sean, it's on fucking YouTube. Anybody can look it up. They treat me like I'm some dumbass who's not trying to turn it in. Like I didn't tell them about it. No, I absolutely did tell them about this repeatedly, over and over again. I even told them that they were being recorded. Many of these places, I have the right to record because these people are paid government funds. I have the right to record how they treat me. And so I did. And then when these people found out that I recorded how shitty they fucking treated me, that includes the courts before the first arrest. That's right. Before the first arrest. Over 2 years, I believe, before the first arrest. I was already having to try to turn in the police officers and the deputies for multiple assaults. Jesus, man. A disabled person shouldn't be assaulted for trying to turn in threats against their life and against their friends and family's lives. When I tried to tell the cops all the way back in 2017 that people were threatening to kill my older brother, that they were threatening to kill Zyler Cox over Natalie Bollinger, pretending like I'm out to hurt her. Well, I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm out to get fucking heard. Now, of course, we got to get the folks on here who want to make jokes and be humorous about it and make fun of the situation. That's pretty much 90 to 99% of the people that come to my channel. They're people who are interested in picking on the person that they want to pretend is a stalker. Asking somebody to call off the dogs is not stalking. Following the instructions that you're given by police officers is not stalking. Following the instructions that you're given by mental health specialists is not stalking. And cursing isn't stalking either. Now, I had to try to turn in actual assaults, actual stalking, actual against people's lives before Natalie was killed. While she pretended, her and her family pretended that I threatened them in Virginia. And it turns out, no, I didn't actually threaten them. No, these are paranoid, delusional assholes who wanted to grossly go out of their way, like children, to reinterpret something that literally could have happened to anybody. Anybody could have ended up severely dehydrated in fucking Virginia. Anybody, especially if they're living in a black fucking car. I had a place picked out that was in the shade. All right, I didn't pick it. I shouldn't say that. Alicia Bollinger picked where I stayed in Virginia. I literally never stayed behind Natalie Bollinger's work. I stayed behind Alicia Bollinger's work. Because Alicia Bollinger had asked me to, so that I would be closer to her, so that it would be easier to visit with me. It doesn't matter how much evidence I post up showing that we were friends. We were friends right up until my birthday. Now, what the fuck happened on my birthday? Nobody was raped. Nobody was molested. Nobody's life was fucking threatened. What happened is Natalie's mom found her fucking heroin, so we had to cut my birthday short. Meanwhile, the only reason that we went anywhere for my birthday is because Natalie insisted. Now, if somebody's stalking you, you don't fucking insist on getting them a gift or going out with them for their birthday. And I'm not talking boyfriend, girlfriend bullshit. When these people got busted lying, they played victim. It's standard fucking procedure. We teach every woman and every cop to do this. If you do something illegal, make something up and blame your fucking victim. Someone calling themselves Easy Lanes 2 typed, I get stalked. What's the channel about? It's about how police and the Bollingers used the media and social media to make me a target of abuse. About how I spoke up over and over and over again and nobody cared. My friends wanted to get fucked up on drugs and give me bad advice. The police wanted to send me to mental health over physical assaults, and mental health, of course, didn't give a shit about the physical assaults. They want me to come back for therapy because the government will give them money. I'm going to the people that I'm supposed to over and over and over again for each of these peoples to say it's not their job. Now, I got a question for you. When you're assaulted, are you sent to mental health? When you try to turn in an assault, are you talked in circles and told to go to TFCC? So what we're going to do is we're going to play that video we were going to play earlier. This is from earlier today. This is from when I first tried to do what I'm supposed to, which is when Andrew Wolnez violates the protection order or somebody threatens my life or assaults me, I'm supposed to go to my friends or family. The only people that I have that are even close to that are literally just Roy and Tony. That's it. And it's not okay that I have to depend on them. It's not okay to them. This should not be their responsibility. So, they've done some wrong shit, but it's from a lack of understanding. Now, like I said, I don't hate any of these people. They made mistakes, and they have every opportunity to come forward about those mistakes. Now, let's press play on this. I'm sorry that there's a few minutes where there's nothing being said. I had to go talk to him. But I can't let you sleep on the floor this time. All right, I was talking to a dog. We got to go inside. Oh, come on. Thank you. Some people's dogs. Oh, there we go. You guys are so wonderful first thing in the morning. Oh. Dogs are wonderful every time of day.
Bonjour. You know who knocks up to this post yesterday?
Yeah, Tony. Trying to figure out because he got loose from that ball there. All right, I shouldn't assume it was Tony. Tony tried to reattach him to the ball. He may have attached him to the post.
Well,
I shouldn't accuse him of doing. All right, so this is the part where, yes, I was there when Tony connected the dog to the lock. It just didn't make the connection to the lock was attached to the post at the time. So I didn't intentionally lie. I was trying to make sure that I gave the right information. And something without.
It pissed me off that
Tony
sure. Is out a cable in a lock because I destroyed him trying to get Knox loose.
Oh yes, he did attach Knox to the lock, but the thing should have been able to come off. I don't know why it didn't. Now you can see here where I'm having communication issues, very specifically because he's using the shovel. That's not a choice. I can't turn that off. Medications will not fix that. So what I was trying to explain to him is that I was not trying to misinform him intentionally. I was supposed to meet with Tony at, I think he said 10 o'clock this morning, but I knocked at 10. He didn't answer. Did I yell down the stairs at him?
Sure.
Alrighty. Yeah, Andrew Wolnez broke the protection order again. I got a screenshot of it. Oh. Knock, knock. I did show up at 10 and knock on the door.
What?
I said I did show up at 10 o'clock and knock on the door.
Okay, I meant to be out there earlier. Sorry,
I know. I think you said I think yesterday you said between 9 and 10, and you said today we'll get started earlier, around 9. So when you didn't answer, I didn't beat on the window. But Andrew Wolnez broke the protection order again. I got a screenshot of it.
Great.
Yes, sir.
You woken up and let me out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have you got a written out summary in order of all this crap?
I have. All right, so this is something where it's, yes, I have typed it out many times. I also don't have enough hours in a day. I've typed this out up to revision 5. That's where I was at when I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, trying to type this stuff out. It took me several years to do that because I was forced to move from one place to another to another. That's how it ended up getting so complicated with so many jurisdictions involved. I'd be bullied into moving somewhere else and then prevented from turning in the crimes in the last place, told, oh, well, it doesn't matter. No, it absolutely does matter. It matters that I'm being abused everywhere that I go over crimes I did not commit. So this is a situation where someone needs to make the calls with me and tell these people that I am being harmed and how and why and who's doing it. This feller here, obviously, he does know a lot about the situation. He's very aware of vandalism against my vehicle. He's very aware of the situation with Mossam Vijan. He is very aware of those situations. He is more than qualified to speak about Mossam Vijan threatening to kill me because he's heard the recordings himself. Now, it's a matter of turning it in with me because the police still want to pretend that these are schizophrenic delusions. If they admit that they're not schizophrenic delusions, then it lends an ear to the fact that the things that they did wrong are also not schizophrenic delusions, and they don't want that. So in this part, Roy's asking me if I have a chronological timeline written out of it. I've tried multiple times, over and over and over again. I'm doing the same things over and over and over again, and I'm doing them by myself. So I get treated like I didn't do it when that evidence is destroyed by some fucking idiot. Meanwhile, the idiot who destroyed those revisions was a guy named Ed, who is a friend of my sister's and is schizophrenic and destroyed an entire computer worth of evidence. He also tried to threaten and intimidate me like an asshole. I didn't give him permission to factory reset my goddamn computer. That computer was full of evidence, but the dude's a fucking idiot. And unfortunately, because he's schizoaffective, he won't be held responsible for what he did. It doesn't matter that he outright lied knowingly, willingly, and intentionally. What matters is that he's schizoaffective, so he can pretend that he didn't know it was just one of his episodes. In reality, I don't believe Ed is schizophrenic in the least bit. Schizoaffective, yeah, probably. He comes across that way, but that's because he's a chronic liar. He's one of those dudes who is so fucking pathetic that all he can do is tell lie after lie after lie all day long, hoping somebody will be fucking retarded enough to believe his bullshit. Unfortunately, my little sister is that retarded. Now, in this one, Roy is going to keep on pushing the timeline thing. No, these are crimes that need to be turned in. They need to be turned in to law enforcement. And since law enforcement has already shown that they are unwilling to do their jobs, that any opportunity that they have to make something up and arrest me, they are going to make something up and arrest me, and they will use TFCC again to try to do that. So all of this stuff that Roy is about to say is not useful. It's also the opposite of what is on my instructions for how to turn in this abuse. So let's press play again. But the police don't give that stuff back. I've had to do that 6 or 7 times.
You didn't make copies?
I couldn't make copies. That's the thing, is that I didn't have help. I had to spend my disability money a little bit at a time, because it's not like I get paid $20,000 a month, and it costs over $2,000 a month just to run around to all of the places that they wanted me to run around to right after Natalie died, in lieu of doing their job and investigating the crimes that were committed against me. Like I said, every time that I tried to turn in a crime, I was sent to mental health. Every single time. And I tried to turn into mental health what was going on, and the mental health people would say it's not their job, I need to turn it into the police. So I'd go back and I'd tell the police, hey, this is what the mental health people say. Always some excuse to pass the buck when it's somebody that nobody gives a fuck about. Now, the only thing that works to prevent this abuse is to make the calls with the victim, and you have to advocate for a disabled person, which means that you need to know enough about the situation that you are the one speaking, not the victim. And when the victim asks for you to verify something, you do need to verify it so that the person on the other end of the phone can hear you. That's something we need to work on. Laura Nelson intentionally omitted information. She also, I don't know if you heard that. Jesus fucking Christ, the goddamn drug addicts across the street again. I don't know if my phone is filtering it out. I know that my audio recording device doesn't.
I bought multiple copying machines, but there's only so many copies I can make, and there's a lot of evidence.
This is the thing. I'm having to buy all of this stuff as a homeless person who is being victimized into moving from place to place to place to place, because the one thing that I need is a friend or family member to give a shit. This is common sense stuff. If you make the victim go in alone, it is easy for the victim to be talked over, dismissed, threatened, harassed, or intimidated. If the cops don't want to do their job, they will threaten a victim who is trying to turn it in. They will threaten to arrest the victim of violent crimes for trying to turn it in because they don't want to do their jobs. The only thing that prevents that is a friend or family member who knows what's going on. Now, unfortunately, just because you know what's going on doesn't mean that you have the balls to speak up about it. Natalie Bollinger knew that I didn't rape anybody, that I didn't molest anybody, and that I didn't stalk anybody. But the thing is that she did not have the intestinal fortitude to stand to her fucking rapist and druggy ass family. The people who got drunk and chose abusive men over her. The people who strung her out on heroin and prostituted their own daughter to pay off their drug debts. The thing is, I told the truth about people who did wrong shit. And those people wanted to play victims over it. Now, I want you to show me even one threat against even one of the Bollingers' lives before Natalie was killed. Just one. Show me just one threat against their lives before Natalie was killed. I have posted evidence of plenty of threats against my life, including by Tim Beeson before Natalie was killed. I was asking her to call off the dogs. I told her what it is that the police told me to tell her. The people are treating me like a child molester and a rapist. That means physically assaulting me. That means screaming at the top of their lungs in public places where they see me that I'm a child molester and a rapist. Physically assaulting me while telling the people in the surrounding area that I'm a child molester and a rapist, that I stalked 2 little girls in Virginia. For a whole year before Natalie was killed, I had to deal with that shit. Natalie Bollinger never accused me of being a child molester or a rapist. Her friends did that. Where the fuck is that goddamn phone? Sorry about that. I have a whole stack of phones full of evidence. Instead of police officers investigating the crimes, they just tell me to change my phone number. You ever think about changing your phone number? Yeah, and then when I change my phone number, some of my people who used to be friends but ended up being predatory, wanted to pretend that I was just changing my numbers to stalk him and he had to block me on multiple numbers, and that's absolutely not true. He also wanted to, of course, like many predators with children, wanted to pretend that he's afraid for his kids. Well, he probably is. He is probably afraid that when he goes to prison, that somebody else is going to slide into his spot. He's going to lose his wife because he's a piece of shit. And his kids will have no respect for him because instead of doing the right thing, he chose to help child molesters, rapists, and bad cops get away with this shit. And then he chose to play victim and try hiding behind children as his excuse. The difference between me and most of my predators is that they have a history of child abuse and I don't. Amy Witcher has a history of child abuse. I don't. Andrew Witcher has a history of child abuse. I don't. It's not just that, it's the fact that they abused me repeatedly. And then when Elizabeth tried to come forward about what Andrew did to her, she wasn't heard by her mother. She was forced to normalize. Those of you who have go into therapy because you were sexually molested, you know what that word is. You probably know what the honeymoon period is too. That's when after your husband beats on you or your dad rapes you, he all of a sudden is lovey-dovey and he promises he's never going to do it again, and you know, so on and so on and so on. So let's get back to this recording. The thing that keeps me safe, common sense, is that these people are less likely to get away with committing these crimes if someone goes in with me. There's also the fact that Roy does know a lot about these situations. He's in a lot of the recordings that I have not posted up. The reason I have not posted them up is because I was told not to. I was told that those things need to go to an attorney and that posting this stuff up publicly might prevent me from being able to get an attorney. However, I don't have any help getting an attorney. Hopefully this feller who's trying to advocate for me now will learn the situation better and be able to actually advocate for me. And I'm hoping now let's get back to this chronological thing. Yeah, I get what he's saying. I definitely get what he's saying. And no matter how many times he says it, it doesn't detract from the fact that I get what he's saying. I also know that he's telling me to do things that I've already tried and things that take a lot of time. And I know how long it takes from experience. This isn't something I can do in 5 minutes, but I do have to turn these situations in before they're allowed to destroy evidence, which means people need to get off their ass instead of making excuses or telling me to go in alone or telling me that they can't do anything. No, every fucking one of you can do something. The Bollingers fucked with me and 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 fucked with me over and over and over again. And I had to go to my friends and family for help stopping it, and they didn't give a shit. They wanted to make excuses why going with me to the police wouldn't work. Meanwhile, that's literally on the sheet of paper that says how to turn it in safely is with a friend or family member. If you cannot follow the most simple instructions, you don't want to help. You're not interested in helping. Now, the thing is, he does say some stuff that is very important here. And if he's actually done those things and actually contacted those places, Well, we need to contact them together, and he needs to know enough about the situation to, well, he needs to at least tell them the parts that he's aware of. He needs to speak at least about what he is aware of as far as my car goes, what he is aware of as far as the physical abuse goes. When it comes to the threats against my life, and also how it was treated in court. But also, one thing Roy hasn't done is spent the time to look at the fact that I am telling the truth about all of it. In specific, what we need to focus on is how the police abused their power to assist these people in getting away. How they used TFCC and other agencies to rubber stamp me rather than doing their jobs, rather than investigating. Now, there's Detective Zapata and Detective Raymond both need to be subpoenaed. They took part in the abuse against me while I was incarcerated as well. Matter of fact, every single deputy that works there needs to be subpoenaed. But somebody has to advocate. That means they have to know what to say. Now, it's a lot easier for you to be able to say, people have been threatening Sean for 10 years. If you look at the actual evidence of the threats, I'm not asking you to look at every single one of them. I know that it will literally take me a year to go through the videos to try to find even half of them. There's a lot of videos, not just on YouTube, not just on Facebook. It needs to be turned in, the fact that it was the illegal actions of police that deprived me of the ability to pay my bills, deprived me of the access to those things. Their unwillingness to recognize that people were trying to destroy evidence and trying to hack my account. Instead of taking the evidence seriously that is in there, they did everything that they could to postpone. If they prevent me from paying bills, then it destroys evidence of their wrongdoing. That's in their favor. While they want to pretend that I lied, there is still enough evidence of the physical assaults that I have had to endure to show that what they wanted to pretend is a delusion has not been a delusion. It has not been a delusion this entire time. The police and hospitals' absolute refusal to look at the evidence on my telephones instead of jumping to bad conclusions based on slander. They didn't give a fuck that it was slander. It made absolutely no difference to them. There wasn't two sides for those officers. Those officers just believed what they were told, and they took me to the hospital, and then they spread those lies to the hospital as if it was the fucking truth. Now, through the entire vehicle ride to the hospital, and the entire time I was at the hospital, I was trying to get the officer, while he was taking me to the hospital, he took me to the hospital and just dropped me the fuck off. He went and talked to a nurse for a few minutes, slandered the shit out of my name, and fucking left. My phone was in a Ziploc bag that I wasn't allowed to have until I was released, but they had to clear me for release. They cleared me for release within just a couple of hours, but then I was released without any of the things that I needed to even use my motherfucking phone. I didn't have my phone charger. It was in my car, which was towed, which they said that they weren't going to do. Matter of fact, the officer who drove me to the hospital said that my friends were going to watch my car for me. Really? Are they? Are they really? What friends? Natalie and Alicia certainly were not my friends at that point. When they chose to intentionally lie because they didn't want anybody thinking less of them, especially their own family. And it's fucking pathetic because their own family are the ones who fucking raped them. who molested them, who allowed harmful people into their lives to actually rape them, actually molest them, actually fucking beat them repeatedly.
All tactics and trying to convince people not to help me. It's that when they don't help me, they don't look at any of the evidence. They don't know if it's true or not. They're more likely to believe somebody with a badge than believe a homeless person who looks like I do. Life is grand, ain't it? Now, the good thing is I do have a whole bunch of evidence. You know, I've got recording after recording of the fact that I went to them about the abuse and the assault, and even after getting the protection order, they still refused to do their jobs, resulting in these people getting a big head and doing it again and again. If I don't go in with somebody else, the cops pretend I didn't try. They pretend I didn't go in at all, or they arrest me.
Because if you get a written out outline with references to what evidences you have, we could start just chunking it on.
I've been doing that. I just want to state very clearly, I've been doing that for years, okay? I made an outline that was just an outline. And the problem is that my little sister's friend Ed destroyed the goddamn outline because it was on a computer that he decided that instead of giving me a bid on the part that it needed, what he was going to do instead was factory reset the goddamn thing. I'm told that it's my fault for letting somebody that I knew was schizophrenic touch it. Well, the thing is, my little sister insisted up and down that he was a computer guy, he knew what he was doing, and that he was not schizophrenic. After he destroyed a fucking computer full of evidence, he admitted that he was schizoaffective. Well, that was fucking useful, wasn't it? So, I've made timelines repeatedly. I can't function to do that. There is too much. That's why I ask people to look. I need you to recognize that there is too much to be able to do that. There is way too much to be able to do that. Now, in all the calls that I made today, I was run around in circles and blown off and dismissed over and over and over again, every single call. So, we did make some calls today, and it was more than one. It wasn't Roy who was making the calls with me, and it is important that he does because he is aware that a lot of these situations are absolutely true. But like I keep explaining, you need a friend or family member to go in with you. That's the reason that when the, what do they call it? The Disability Coalition put together their list of suggestions and their list of requirements for turning in abuse, the first thing that they wrote on there for protecting a disabled person is to pay attention to them. Pay attention to them and their surroundings. If there are changes in their behavior, find out why there are changes in their behavior instead of just pretending that one day they woke up and were magically schizophrenic out of nowhere. And then you need to pay attention to what they're wanting to call schizophrenic. They're wanting to claim that the assaults against me are schizophrenic delusions. That the situation with Natalie Bollinger is a schizophrenic delusion. And therefore, because those things must be schizophrenic delusions, it just stands to reason that anything that the police did to me must be a schizophrenic delusion. And now, unfortunately for those stupid cops, I have the evidence that shows that the shit I said about Natalie Bollinger was not a schizophrenic delusion. The things that I said about Rose M. Kelly were not schizophrenic delusions. The things that I said about Ted Bollinger were not schizophrenic delusions. The things that I claimed Natalie Bollinger said are not schizophrenic delusions, and therefore they have no leg to stand on, pretending that the abuse from the past that you want to tell me when I try to turn it in that I can't bring up the past. Oh, but you can. You can bring up situations where I was denied my rights as a human being, denied my rights in court, denied my rights as a disabled person, denied my rights as an American citizen, denied my rights as a victim over and over and over and over because they had already decided. That's the problem. When somebody has already decided something, when they have already decided that you're the predator and Natalie is the victim, they don't have to hear your side because they know because you have a penis, you're a bad guy, and so on and so on and so on. When you've got a fucking badge and a homeless victim comes to you because they're being assaulted, having that fucking mentality is stupid.
But I can't let you sleep on the floor this time. All right, puppy, move. We got to go inside.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Pretend I didn't
retard.
cry. They pretend I didn't go in at all. Or they arrest me.
Because if you get a written out outline with references to what evidences you have, we could start just chunking.
I've got a bunch of those. It got to the point where the only way that I could do it is to make the videos and post in the timeline what parts of the video that was in and send the video to people and type up a comment about that specific portion of video and why it's important. I do it the best that I can with my abilities, pushing something that obviously is impossible to do. Impossible. And if you look at the evidence, you'll realize it's impossible. I'm being blackballed. Without another person, I will continue to get blackballed. And this part right here, this is a person who is a witness to multiple situations.
But I can't let you sleep on the floor this time.
Oh, it started
Not
over
help me.
again.
They don't
The
look
fuck?
at any of the evidence. They don't know if it's true or not. They're more likely to believe somebody with a badge than believe a homeless person who looks like I do. Life is grand, ain't it? Now, the good thing is I do have a whole bunch of evidence. You know, I've got recording after recording of the fact that I went to them about the abuse and the assault, and even after getting the protection order, they still refused to do their jobs, resulting in these people getting a big head and doing it again and again. If I don't go in with somebody else, the cops pretend I didn't cry. They pretend I didn't go in at all. Or they arrest me.
Because if you get a written out outline with references to what evidences you have, we could start just.
I've done that repeatedly. The thing is, I can't function because I am treated like shit when I need help turning it in right away. I get treated like shit when I go to people about abuse. If I could do this, and if I could do that, and if I could do a whole bunch of other stuff. No, I can't do those things. And if you listen to understand, you'd understand I can't do those things. I cannot do any of this alone. If I do anything by myself without somebody else to verify that I've made the goddamn effort, they get to pretend it's a schizophrenic delusion and I'm making it up. Telling me to do shit that I've already done repeatedly over and over again. And from personal experience that is recorded. Anybody can listen to these fucking recordings. The one thing they're not doing is following some very, very simple instructions that are common sense to prevent abuse and to turn in abuse when it happens. Common sense goes out the window when people don't want to help.
In order of all this crap.
I have, but the police don't give that stuff back. I've had to do that 6 or 7 times.
You didn't make copies?
I couldn't make
Now,
copies.
see the way that he says that. You didn't make copies? You know what? I was making copies. It costs money for copiers. It costs money for ink. And you have to have a place to plug the goddamn thing in. You got to go to the library to make fucking copies. You got to go to the fucking copy place to make copies. Yeah, I made a lot of fucking copies when I could, when I had the fucking money to do it. But most of the time I didn't have the money to do it because I was getting fucking ripped off, because instead of people who knew what was going on turning it in with me, I had to turn to fucking drug addicts for help.
I bought multiple copy machines, but there's only so many copies I can make, and there's a lot of evidence. Like, that's one of the things about their stall tactics and trying to convince people not to help me, is that when they don't help me, they don't look at any of the evidence. They don't know if it's true or not. They're more likely to believe somebody with a badge than believe a homeless person who looks like I do. Life is grand, ain't it? Now, the good thing is I do have a whole bunch of evidence. You know, I've got recording after recording of the fact that I went to them about the abuse and the assault, and even after getting the protection order, they still refused to do their jobs, resulting in these people getting a big head and doing it again and again. If I don't go in with somebody else, the cops pretend I didn't try. They pretend I didn't go in at all, or they arrest me.
Because if you get a written out outline with references to what evidences you have,
He's stuck on that
we
part.
can start just chunking it on to anybody who will listen.
Right, I've been doing that.
So then he's telling me to
It's
do
just a
something that
matter
was
of-
my suggestion 3 years ago. It was my suggestion 2 years ago. It was my suggestion repeatedly while I was in jail. It's been my suggestion since I got out. The problem is, now he's spitting back exactly what my suggestion has been, exactly what I've been doing, to the best of my ability, while being treated like shit for asking people to come forward with me. Now you're going to hear and understand that this is about just not wanting to come forward. That's what this is about. He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to come forward with me to these places. I have to pull teeth. It's at least nicer than just going,
I'm the only one sending it out. It doesn't have anybody else's name on it. That's what I was asking people to help me with all from the very start, because if the cops won't do their jobs, we're supposed to go to the media. The media's not going to listen to me. My story sounds crazy, and because it's traumatic for me to even think about it, I don't communicate right. And I try to explain to people that's part of the reason I need someone to speak up, is because I'm going to get talked over. I sound like a crazy person when I tell people I was assaulted. I don't know why.
The media's not really the right place to go.
Well, the media can help if it's approached right. If you approach them as, hey, here's the evidence of the abuse, and it is happening, that's a lot different than, hey, will you please do us a story, please?
I suppose. I got a list from Grok of 5 law outfits in Oregon that specialize in going after the police for abuse.
so that right there is important. That's useful information. This is something that can be useful if we can make the calls together, if we can, get on the line with those people. But the thing is that the first thing we need to do is, well, turn in the fact that I am unsafe because the police have refused to do their jobs. They've gone out of their way to intentionally lie to people because they just don't want to get in trouble. There are consequences for mandatory reporters refusing to do their jobs, like when they cover for police officers by not putting that down in their report. You know, if I'm being abused and police officers breaking the law is part of that story, you don't get to pick and choose and cherry pick what I get to tell you. You don't get to do that. When I am forced to break the law to turn in threats, harassment, intimidation, and assaults by the Bollingers and their friends, well, maybe you should fucking take that seriously. When I say that I have tried to contact these people over and over and over again and was sent around in circles, maybe you should take that seriously.
But they need an organized chronological package of what you've got for evidence.
And they keep taking it when I do that. And then there's also the fact that the abuse that I'm still having to endure is keeping me from being able to function to be able to do that again, along with the conditions that I'm living in. I mean,
the point is that somebody else has to speak up. Somebody else has to speak up about the conditions I'm living in. Someone else has to know that I'm telling the truth. Because if they don't know that I'm telling the truth and speak up about the fact that I am telling the truth, then they are setting me up for failure. I have to turn this in a timely and efficient manner before people's memories go sour and the evidence is destroyed. I need them to listen to how fragile this situation is and how important it is to turn in this abuse and push it and get an investigation started before this evidence is fucking gone forever.
people are doing the best that they can, but the government needs to pull their weight and stop cutting me off.
You need it on a thumb drive.
I've got it on
Thumb drive after thumb drive after thumb drive. Putting it on a thumb drive doesn't get somebody to look at what's on the fucking thumb drive. The first thing that we need to do is call in the goddamn crime. If we are blown off and we at least make the call together, we have a much, much higher likelihood of being taken seriously. When you speak up, when the cop's trying to sell a false fucking narrative, that's called gaslighting. When you know enough about the situation to know that they're fucking gaslighting and you speak up, that's what's fucking needed. I get that they need this chronology thing, but I need a fucking safe goddamn environment where I don't have to worry about this fucking abuse happening again and again and again so that I can function well enough to fucking do that. It takes time to do that. And I cannot take the time to do that when I can't function because I am fucking scared to go to the goddamn cops.
multiple thumb drives. There's not enough to put it on one thumb drive.
Yeah, is it in chrono? Not everything.
It has been on.
He's going to repeat the same thing that I've already heard, and I'm trying to explain to him, I get it. I fucking get it. I get it. I've already done that. I've been asking for help with that. I've been asking for help with that for 10 goddamn years. By the time somebody fucking actually takes a goddamn look, it's already fucking gone. It's already been fucking destroyed. That's what I need to turn in. The goddamn procrastination. I am the only person following the goddamn instructions.
Multiple occasions. The problem is that nobody is helping me with that, so they can't verify that it exists. And then when they destroy it because they illegally obtain my property, it's difficult to do that. Somebody needs to actually help me with that because I can't function as a human being. Just looking at that shit by myself makes me want to kill myself. And I'm not allowed to say that, but that's the reality of it. If there's nobody else to look at it, there is literally no reason for me to look at it because it doesn't do any good for me to look at it without somebody else there. Because without somebody else there, the whole purpose for me looking at it is to show it to somebody else. You know, and people want to make it an incredibly complicated task to do that when they could, sit down next to me and just look at the stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I do it chronologically. It takes a lot of time to do that, and I have to turn in the crimes immediately. So when they ask for that stuff, the fact that my disabilities are being exploited to the point that I can't function to do that, I can't do it.
You do it once. You do the outline.
And I did do it.
He's giving advice about shit that I've already done. I've already done it. He said you just do it once and then you make a copy. I spent 4 goddamn years trying to get help doing that. 4 goddamn years. I have to turn in the fact that I spent 4 goddamn years trying that. That it didn't fucking work because nobody fucking cared. They were too busy giving advice and not fucking listening.
I did it multiple times.
And so do you have a copy of it that you can...
I already told him. I fucking don't. The cops don't give that shit back. When I have to turn it in by myself, they get to steal my shit and destroy whatever the fuck they want. That's the shit I gotta fucking turn in. All the shit you don't want to fucking hear.
I know, and I can't function well enough to do that.
I can't fucking function well enough to do it again. I don't have the means to do it. I need access to a bunch of goddamn evidence that I no longer have access to. This isn't 1 or 2 fucking assaults. This isn't 1 or 2 goddamn phone calls. This isn't 1 or 2 goddamn false arrests. Nobody could fucking remember every goddamn detail, every fucking day. Every fucking exact minute that this shit happened. Nobody. If you help to turn it in right away, you can help to get it taken seriously. So the abuse is put to a fucking stop.
Because of my disabilities, and somebody needs to understand that I've been doing this for years, over and over and over again, but nobody looks at it. It doesn't matter how many times I do that. I need somebody to help me with that because I can't function to even look at it. I can't. I've done that repeatedly. No, I don't have a copy of it. I don't have a copy of shit that people destroy. That's why I try to explain to people there's a time limit on this. If you don't help me with this, then people get to destroy stuff. If you don't look at it, then if they destroy it, then I have no witness that it existed. It's a matter of people keep making suggestions to do things that I've been doing over and over and over again, and I'm still trying to, but they need to understand why I can't do it again. I can't do it alone. All right, I've done that 7 times, and instead of people reading what I've written, I get sent around in circles. What needs to be focused on now is the fact that I can't function to do it, and why. I've done these things repeatedly. People saying, well, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. I've already done that. I've done it repeatedly. I can't do it again. I can't function.
You shouldn't have to do it. You do it once.
Yeah, I fucking heard him the first goddamn dozen times he said that I should only have to do it once. I fucking know. I know I should have only had to do it once. I'm well aware of that. Saying the same fucking thing over and over does not detract from the fact that not only did I hear you the first fucking time, but I already know. That's one of the biggest bitches that I have, is that I'm having to do shit over and over and over again because instead of people helping me, they're busy giving advice. Getting stuck on it like a crackhead.
And I tried, and I didn't have help, and I begged people for help over and over and over again. I know that I should have just been able to do it once and send out a copy to a bunch of people. I tried when it was just a little bit of evidence. But over the years, it has gone from just a few people harassing me and assaulting me to a whole bunch of people doing this. And then when I have to try to turn it into these places, they tell me things like, well, just give us one or two names. They don't want to hear the whole story, and I get that. That's part of the way that the police get away with doing this, is making it so incredibly complicated, nobody wants to fucking hear it. When I try to show them the paperwork of the fact that these officers who are all over the news for violating people's rights, that I tried to turn them in, and their names are all over my paperwork, when I call up a place to turn this in, I have to call up with somebody who knows that happened and tells them that it happened. And it's difficult to explain to people that that's literally what I need when people have so many different ideas. Contact this place and contact that place, and have you called this place and have you called that place? I'm overwhelmed.
My idea is we make the chronological thing with saying, have evidence for this, evidence for this, with code, so you can go directly find the evidence. You don't send them the evidence, you send them the chronology. And we send that to every damn newspaper we can think of, all 5 of those law firms.
Yeah, that was my idea all the way back in Colorado. That was my idea in Nebraska. That was my idea here, over and over and over again. But the thing is that I need help putting a stop to the abuse so that I can fucking function. Andrew Wolnez needs to be in fucking prison so I don't have to be afraid of him doing this shit again. You're telling me to do something that's literally going to take years to do. And when you say we, do you actually mean we? Because it sounds like a just me. You're not going to look at evidence or speak up about what you know. No, you want me to do all of the fucking work. I can't! I can't! There's a reason I don't have fucking access to that goddamn evidence. I have to work with the evidence that I do have access to. A lot of that evidence, I have to call up a bunch of places and a bunch of attorneys with someone so that I'm not blown off. That's the point. If you don't make the call with me, I'll be blown off. If you don't tell them what you know, I will be blown off.
The state representative, the state senator, hell, go to our U.S. congressman for that matter.
But I will have to be able to function to do that again. And they need to know that I can't function. You know, the things about my disabilities that somebody needs to let them know. Somebody needs to tell them. Somebody needs to get to know me and my disabilities well enough to tell them.
Okay, so we need... One of my problems with Brock is I ask a question, I get too much information as an answer, and I lose what I'm doing. I think somewhere in there, that's sitting there to dry out.
Okay. Google.
I think it gave me a list of organizations that will come and help you organize.
Yes, sir. And that's what an advocate is supposed to do, and they keep sending me TFCC.
I never knew such things existed. Now what the hell?
Well, yeah, they're supposed to exist because there's so many people like me.
God damn it. Tony fucked up my...
No, that's the reason that he attached it to the thing the way he did, is because that was broken. He said that he has a better one somewhere. I told him I have a better one somewhere too.
Okay, then it was Robin that messed these up.
I try to avoid him. I can usually judge over the fence how much he's had to drink based on the color of his face. But if he's drank too much, he's going to call me the N-word, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, he got all bent out of shape at Tony last night for supposedly calling him the N-word, and I heard it. He didn't call him a nigger, he called him a nagger.
I still hate both of those words. You know, it's different, though. It is definitely different.
I don't even know why I still have this word.
Like, what I do to try to get help is nagging. I'm a nagger. I admit it. I'm also ignorant of many things. So when somebody tells me I'm ignorant, I'm one of the very few people who's not going to take it as an insult. If you put me in a room with a nuclear physicist, yes, I am intelligent enough to be able to have a conversation with him about nuclear physics. I
Just not
just
educated enough.
don't know anything about nuclear physics, so there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Or I could have a conversation with a
Difference
nuclear
between
physicist
intelligence
if
and
I
knowledge.
took the time to learn about that stuff. But the thing is that the being afraid and looking over my shoulder everywhere that I go and all that has made it so that I can't function. And that's what they're preying on, is that I can't function. I can't take care of myself. And now my mobility is gone. I can't even drive myself places.
Just calm down. You're driving crazy.
At some point, I started the lawnmower.
Also, I have to send evidence. The evidence is what proves I'm telling the truth. One of the things that I've been doing on the YouTube is I go through the videos as I'm able to, and I type in the comment section at what point in the video people say certain things and do certain things, and, you know, because that's what my instructions were from the police and from the paperwork.
For what we're trying to do, that's actually third level stuff. The first level stuff is the chronology, because when people see that, a lot of people are going, okay, I want to see the evidence behind this.
Well, I've done the chronology over and over again. It doesn't get people to look at the evidence. What gets people to look at the evidence is someone verifying that I'm telling the truth. When it comes to the chronology of it, when it was just, 2 or 3 assaults and threats, that was easy. It's been 10 years of abuse over Natalie Bollinger and her slander. It's been 10 years of abuse over Alicia Bollinger and her slander. It's been 10 years of abuse over Rose M. Kelly and her slander. Telling me I gotta do it all chronologically. Well, yeah, I know. I'm well aware. I've been trying to do that repeatedly over and over and over again. But if nobody sees the effort, then I am treated like I didn't make it. It is important for a friend or family member to help to turn this in right away. I didn't have a friend or family member to turn it in with me in Virginia, so the cops didn't have to do their jobs. I didn't have a friend or family member to go in with me for a whole year after I left Virginia. What I had was people who wanted to make excuses, talk over me, tell me that I needed to do stuff another way. Everybody's got their own ideas about how it needs to be done. Many of these people have such opposing opinions that, well, many of them said that they wouldn't come forward about what they knew and wouldn't turn in the evidence that they had if I didn't stop being friends with somebody who also had a bunch of fucking evidence. So I'm having to deal with people's fucking drama queen bullshit. People playing head games instead of helping to turn in the abuse. Before I can function well enough to do those things, I need to be in a safe environment. For it to be a safe environment, I need to be able to safely go to the police. In order to safely go to the police, I have to not be forced to go back to police officers who have broken the law. The safety issue is 100% with the police. The homeless especially are treated inhumanely, and those of you who have never been homeless don't know what that's like. You've got plenty of opinions but no experience. So when you talk to me like you know everything and I am some schizophrenic delusional idiot who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, that's the equivalent of if I were to try to argue with a nuclear physicist and tell him he's completely wrong. I don't know enough about physics to argue, let alone be able to tell if somebody's wrong about nuclear physics. If somebody's got a nuclear physics degree, I'm going to believe them because they have the knowledge and experience. Unfortunately, when it comes to my life, I'm the one with the knowledge and experience in my life, not you. I'm the one who's had to make these calls, not you. I'm the one who had to make these calls alone because you wouldn't. I'm the one who is blown off and dismissed. When you say something that's dismissive, you don't stop to think of how harmful that is. What you're doing at that point is treating the victim like either A, you don't care, or B, you don't believe them. Well, I'm not asking anyone to blindly believe me. I'm asking them to hear my story and look at the evidence. Work with my disabilities instead of against them. He's regurgitating exactly what I've been saying for years. I probably shouldn't say regurgitating. It's when you repeat something that somebody else has told you repeatedly. Yeah, this is exactly what needs to happen, but I need a safe environment. I can't function to do that when I'm having to listen to Mossam Bijan wanting to sexually assault Stormy Sweatland. Or when he's screaming at me that he wants me to go threaten the lives of the Venezuelans that work for him. Or he's throwing ball hitches at my head, or throwing another drunk tantrum, or trying to pity party me into going and getting him beer again. See, the phone calls to the detectives, phone calls to the police when they talk us in circles, well, as long as somebody is aware that it's true, that somebody can help to turn it in. When that somebody decides that they're going to do literally anything but, and they're going to try pawn it off onto others, well, follow through. Even if the people that he's saying that he looked up and has contacted, even if they do contact him, we can hope, right? He still needs to tell them what he knows. That's pretty important. Now, we do have people getting on my channel with fake Andrew Wolnez accounts right now and harassing me, so I have taken screenshots of it. I'll probably send it up because although Andrew Wolnez violated the protection order, what these people are doing is, well, they're doing to Andrew Wolnez what they did to me. Making fake account after fake account after fake account to harass people. It's not okay for people to do this to me, so it's not okay for people to do it to Andrew Wolnez. Yes, Andrew Wolnez is 100% a predator. Absolutely. He preys on the disabled. He preys on the homeless. Because he knows that nobody in Tillamook gives a holy goddamn if you harm a disabled person or a homeless person. Everyone in town will make excuses why it's okay. Do you like that? Everyone in town. Not everybody in town took part in the threats, harassment, and stalking. Only about 2% of the 4,000 people who live here actually took part in it. Only about half of 1% of the population actually took part in physical assaults. People's response to abuse is not proper. You know, you got an idea fucking a year after I told you that idea and that I need a safe place and an advocate or I can't function. You could have advocated by simply telling the truth. Did I contact you about my car being destroyed? Did I contact you about people damaging my vehicle? Did I ask you to take a picture of it? Why didn't you take a picture of it that day? I remember what you told me. I remember that Roy told me that he was going to go take the pictures, but he forgot. And then he was going to take the pictures, but it was raining. And then he was going to take the pictures, but my car was gone. I had to try to turn that in from inside of the jail. Caroline Hindman was aware of the situation. She was the one who told me about it. But she never came forward about it, never even tried. She just made excuses not to try. And of course, we've got these nasty fuckers pretending to be Andrew Wolnez after Andrew Wolnez coordinated with others to physically harm me, to threaten my life, to threaten my friends and family's lives. The day he was given the papers for the protection order, he started calling me to harass me repeatedly, immediately, over and over and over again. And instead of the police doing their jobs, well, Officer David Martinez showed up to obstruct justice and prevent me from turning in those violations of the protection order. It was easy, too, because Nathan's a fucking idiot. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'd called Candace and told Candace what was going on, but Candace wasn't there. I had to rely on Nathan, who was fucking clueless. He couldn't take the time to listen to what was going on because he was at work. So I have to respect that, right? I got to try to respect people's boundaries. I have to try to respect their job. Meanwhile, these are the people who were telling me to go into Safeway when these people are assaulting me, when these people are threatening my life, when they're damaging my vehicle. They're telling me to go into the Safeway. But I'm not safe inside of the Safeway because none of those people, not a single one, helped to turn it in. If you didn't go in with me to turn it in, you did not make an effort. And that is 100% how the cops view it. If they can convince you not to go in with the victim, they can do whatever they want to the victim. If they can convince you that you're not allowed to make an eyewitness report because you can't make a report for someone else, no, you are making a witness report. You are absolutely allowed to make that report as a witness. It is illegal for police to try to deter you from doing so by intentionally lying to you and intentionally misrepresenting the situation. The fact that I've got so many people who claimed to have tried to turn this stuff in that have provided no proof of it. Most of them claimed they made these efforts months after they claimed that they had. Like, for example, Brandon Ratner. I want to say it was like 6 or 8 months that I had been going to Brandon Ratner for help since Natalie died. Maybe it was 8 months. And he told me that he had tried to turn this stuff into the Boulder Police Department like 6 months earlier. But he didn't tell me that 6 months earlier, did he? No, he didn't. Because he never made the effort. He lied out his ass. He lied out his ass. How am I supposed to trust witnesses that are fucking lying to me? That doesn't work. You expect me to believe you when you lie to me over and over and over again and you are busted lying. And when I call you out on it, you want to play victim. Well, that's just mentally fucking retarded. Title 42 USC and all of that.
The fact that you've got a note saying, there's a video about this, there's a video about this.
Yes, sir. The thing is, I've
now, if he stopped to look at the evidence, he'd realize that I've already done all of this. I've already done all of this. Part of what I need to turn in is that doing those things did not work. Those things got destroyed repeatedly. And much of the evidence that I had access to, I no longer have access to because people who knew what the fuck was going on didn't make any effort ever to turn it in with me, not for me. When I gave instructions for him, when I was in jail, please get my computer, open it up while we were on the phone. Do not tell me every fucking time that you forgot. If you forget every single time, you are helping my predators to get away with it. So stop forgetting. Stop fucking forgetting. If your disabilities make it so that you are always going to forget, no matter what I tell you, you are always going to forget. The least you can do is call these places with me and tell them that you are always going to forget. That no matter what I tell you, you are going to forget it over and over and over again. That when it is important, you are going to be silent.
I've done that many times already, and I've had to do it by myself. And it's the fact that when you turn in a crime, you should be able to call it in and have it taken seriously immediately. Nobody has to go through all of this to turn in a crime. Nobody. Like, I can't take care of myself. I can't even do the stuff that I've already had to do. I've had to type this. I literally had enough that I could have filled out half of an encyclopedia worth, and that was 7 years ago.
Half of a set of
Like,
encyclopedias.
there is a lot that happened. There are a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of evidence. Like, to do it chronologically and to leave the important details in there so that, you know, the peoples who did wrong stuff, it's important to let them know why they did wrong things.
Yeah, but again, that's third level stuff. The first level has to be something. Your chronology alone, Sean, should make people go, if a quarter of this is true.
Yeah, no shit. He's not saying anything I don't already know. He's not making any suggestions that I haven't already tried. What he's not understanding is that I can't function because of the way that he treats me when I try to get him to help. He doesn't understand. How do you not understand that when somebody is being physically assaulted, when they try to turn it in, they're treated like they're schizophrenic and delusional? That the way to safely turn it in is for you to go in and tell them, hey, this is not a fucking delusion. Not go, or try to get stuck on this one thing, the chronological thing. Yes, I already fucking know. And you can say it 1,000 more times, but you're not hearing what I'm saying.
Right, but the thing is that I'm continually told to do things that I'm doing over and over again and still don't have the help. Someone needs to recognize that I need help and tell these people that I need help. Someone else has to do that. Someone else literally has to tell them that this abuse is real. That's why I show people videos showing that it's real. Someone else has to tell them that it's real.
That's the second stage. That's when they go, hey, is it real?
No, that's the very first stage of turning something in, is calling in and telling people.
John, at this point, to get help, you can't start with turning things in. You got to start with getting them hooked on this narrative.
No, I do have to start with turning it in. See, that's one of the problems, is that I do have to turn it in. One of the issues is that when I have to turn it in by myself, they pretend I didn't try to turn it in. When I'm sent to these other agencies, they're sending me right back. When I type shit and send it to them, they pretend that they can't see it. No matter how many fucking suggestions that you make, your suggestions are shit if you don't know what the fuck is going on. If you haven't taken the time to listen. If you haven't taken the time to look. Make suggestions after you know what the fuck is going on, not before. There's a set of instructions to follow. The one thing that none of these people are doing is following the instructions. They want to always make some argument why it's not their fault that they didn't come forward and tell the truth. It's my fault because, and you can hear this, he's pushing this over and over again like I haven't tried, first of all, and like I don't know what is fucking involved in the goddamn process because I've done it repeatedly. Maybe he should listen to my experience instead of projecting this shit like he knows what the fuck he's talking about, because he doesn't. The first step is to go to a friend or family member and turn it in with that friend or family member. And follow the instructions on how to turn it in, because you will be given instructions. The next step after being given instructions is to follow those instructions. It's not fucking complicated. It's not fucking rocket science. But when people don't want to help, they will dig for any excuse. The first thing that needs to be done is it needs to be turned in before it becomes so complicated that it's going to take years to do this. You need to take a look at how much there is before telling me something that I have to do. I'm incapable of doing what you're asking because you didn't lift a finger when it made a difference. You let it get more complicated because you were busy making excuses and talking about your college buddies every time I brought it up.
But I've already tried that, and that's the problem, is that it's not that I haven't tried that, it's that I have, and people keep stealing my evidence, and nobody helps to get the evidence back. I have to turn in the fact that I am going to lose my evidence if somebody doesn't turn in the fact that this stuff was stolen, or turn in the fact that I was prevented from paying my bills. And because of that, I'm not able to do the two-factor authentication. Somebody needs to turn in that there is a very big risk of this stuff being lost. By the time that I am able to fill it out chronological, that's one of the things about trying to get somebody to look at how much of it that there is that by the time I'm able to type it out chronologically, it will literally be years from now.
When I typed it out before, I had the benefit of having access to a lot of that evidence. But because none of these people lifted a goddamn finger, the cops got to destroy a lot of stuff. The Bollingers got to destroy a lot of stuff. It's not that I didn't try to turn it in. It's that people treat me like shit when it comes to following the most simple goddamn instructions.
And all of the stuff that I've been sending to the police, I type the information about the evidence that I send along with it. They just tell me that they can't see it. It doesn't matter what I type. Somebody else has to verify I'm telling the truth.
Which is a lie.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. We're supposed to
Here
have
he's going to make an argument out of something that my personal experience versus his opinion of how it's supposed to be. That's the thing, is that he's got an argument, and it's a very good argument on how it's supposed to be. But I don't live in the land of it's supposed to be. I don't live anywhere near perfect. Okay? This is not heaven.
It doesn't matter what I type. Somebody else has to verify I'm telling the truth.
which is a lie.
He
No,
said, which is a lie, which is a lie. No, it's not a lie. The reason that these people are getting away with what they're doing is because not one fucking person has taken it seriously about turning it in with me. So these people have repeatedly been allowed to lie over and over and over again because I didn't have a fucking witness there. It's not that I didn't fucking try. It's that people procrastinate and make excuses because they don't want to try. They want it to be their idea, their idea, their idea. How about we follow the fucking instructions? There is instructions given to disabled people who are being abused for a reason. I am following those instructions. The police are pretending that I was not following those instructions. The evidence proves that the police refused to follow those instructions, did not care. They are trained in what they're supposed to do. They chose to do something else. The reason for a friend or family member going in is so that vulnerable people are not exploited.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. They're supposed to act on a report. They don't need corroboration.
But they haven't been.
Here's the thing. He's telling me stuff that he says it's a lie, right? He's saying a bunch of stuff here that does not coincide with what the police have said. Depends on which police officer and on which occasion, because multiple officers told me different things on different occasions. Like Lynn Lothman telling me that they don't take written reports. You just tell him what happened and he'll decide if it's illegal. Then later on, he wanted to tell me that it's my fault for not making a written report. But I have to either have a friend or family member there and present, or I have to get somebody to look at the video, and I have to get them to take it seriously before that video is buried under a bunch more videos of a bunch more crimes.
And that's why we're told as disabled person that someone has to go in with us, because they can refuse to do their job if we go in alone. They can pretend that the accusation of abuse is not credible because I'm disabled or because I'm in a state of crisis. The way that it's supposed to work versus the way that it actually works are not the same. That's why attorneys told me don't go in alone and make sure you're recorded. Yes, they're supposed to act on the accusations of abuse, but they didn't. They sent me around in circles. I've got recordings of them sending me around in circles. I've tried contacting the media. Everybody's got these ideas of have you contacted this place, have you contacted that place. The problem is that, yes, I contacted them alone and I was treated like shit, and they don't give you another chance.
So we'll pause that. The things that he said at the very end there, those are absolutely correct as far as what's on paper. Almost. with the exception of the fact that disabled people do have the right to have a friend or family member go in with them when they have to turn in abuse. The reason for that is because disabled people are the most likely people, sorry, the homeless actually, which really sucks if you're homeless and disabled. You're the most likely people to be blown off by the police. They don't care. They'd rather just assume that you're a schizophrenic, delusional idiot and you should go back to the people who are supposed to be taking care of you. The problem is nobody is taking care of me and I can't take care of myself. The issue here isn't Andrew Wolnez. It's that the police won't do anything about it. And the reason that they're not going to do anything about it is because they committed felonies when I tried to turn them in. It's a misdemeanor to refuse to do your job as a mandatory reporter. It is a felony to try to cover up crimes that were committed by you and your coworkers. Telling me I need to type it all out. I've done that. I've done everything that people have asked me to within my abilities. But the thing is, I am continually told to do things that require more than one person. No matter what, it's just like the two-factor authentication on my computer. As soon as someone is pegged as mentally ill, they have to have a friend or family member speak for them. For them. You have to advocate. That means you have to know what's going on. When you know what Roy knows and you don't turn it in, like, the thing is that I'm treated like a liar. These people aren't understanding how I have been treated by the media, that I have tried time and time again. The reason that I am denied my rights as a human being by the courts, by the police, and even by the FBI is because I never once had a friend who actually made an effort to turn this shit in with me and actually tell them I'm telling the truth. Actually tell them I have seen and heard the videos of Masum Bajan threatening to kill him. I have seen the messages over and over and over and over and over where people literally contacted Sean 1,000 times in one day from restricted phone numbers. I have seen multiple videos of Andrew Wolnez assaulting Sean. I have seen what happened to his vehicle. Anything that he did to help me, which he has helped me. He needs to come forward about the fact that he did try to help. Why wasn't he heard? Well, because he tried to help while I was in jail. He didn't go over it with me. Ever. He never pulled out the computer. He kept forgetting, saying that he couldn't find it. He didn't know where it was. He thinks it might be in a box on the front porch. He'll get around to it eventually. You get to hear a little bit of the Eeyore voice in that recording too. At least he didn't the whole time. But he was being very dismissive of what I was trying to tell him. That's the problem with wanting to make suggestions. Instead of taking the time to listen, you want to brainstorm up more ideas. I don't need you to brainstorm up ideas. There's a very, very simple set of instructions. Those instructions are very simple. They are extremely simple. That's why I tried to get Tony to go over them with me. That's why I tried to get Roy to go over it with me. That's why I tried to get Claire Jordan to go over it with me. But getting any of them to stay on task is the impossible part. That's also not my choice. It's not my decision. It's not my fault. I'm supposed to turn in when I'm having to depend on people with severe mental issues. And if you are having an issue so bad with anxiety that you can't come forward and tell the truth about what you know, the least you can do is explain that you are too disabled to help, but that I am telling the truth. The least you can do. Roy said that it was inappropriate. He didn't think it was appropriate for the police to pawn me off onto him. I agree. He said that he didn't think it was appropriate that I should be depending on disabled people. He was referring to himself in specific at the time because I was asking him for help. And I agree with that too. I absolutely agree. These are things that I have been saying for years. This is exactly the type of help that I have been saying that I need, but it needs to be help, not Sean, you do it all by yourself. I'll never look at any of the evidence. What you need to do by yourself is this, 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 and this. When they say we, they don't mean we. That's the thing about trying to show people how much evidence there actually is. Get them to actually sit down next to my computer, not make me spend hours and hours and hours and hours going through a bunch of bullshit to try to fucking get it sent to them and having to spend hours waiting because the file is too fucking big to send, for it to tell me that it can't connect to the Google Drive anymore because I haven't paid the bill and I haven't connected to it in over a year and a half because I fucking can't. How about understand my disabilities instead of expecting me to understand yours? Because I do. I do understand anxiety. I don't understand having anxiety for no fucking reason. I don't have anxiety for no fucking reason. I have anxiety because people blow me off when I go to them for help, turning in assaults, abuse, threats against my life and against my friends and family's lives. No matter what, even if they see it, they will make nothing but nonstop excuses not to try. I have to do this. I have to do that. Things that I've already done. Are you actually going to help me with those things? Are you going to look at the timeline and look at the evidence? No, you're not. You're not. You're going to make me feel like shit for asking. You're going to, oh, and the whole Eeyore depressed thing. Like, he can literally go from being chronically depressed and mopey like that to happy and excited that he gets to tell me a story about his college buddies. When I'm saying to him, hey, they're investigating the DA right now. This is the perfect time to turn this stuff in. How about you help me get in contact with the people that are investigating the DA so I can show the things that they did and tell my side? Instead of having the term mentally ill used to deny me my rights as a human being. Roy says during that video, no, that's a lie. Let's play that part again.
And all of the stuff that I've been sending to the police, I type the information about the evidence that I send along with it. They just tell me that they can't see it. It doesn't matter what I type. Somebody else has to verify I'm telling the truth.
Which is a lie.
He said, which is a lie.
It's not.
Yeah, it is.
He wants to argue. He says, which is a lie. You're a fucking witness. They're pretending that I'm delusional and schizophrenic because you aren't coming forward. You aren't coming forward. And you want to say that it's a lie. The reality of the situation is a lie. I'm telling him the reality of the situation.
By the time that I am able to fill it out chronological, that's one of the things about trying to get somebody to look at how much of it that there is that by the time I'm able to type it out chronologically, it will literally be years from now. And all of the stuff that I've been sending to the police, I type the information about the evidence that I send along with it. They just tell me that they can't see it. It doesn't matter what I type. Somebody else has to verify I'm telling the truth.
Which is a lie.
He said, which is a lie. No, if you don't verify that I'm telling the truth, they get to pretend that it's a schizophrenic delusion. That's the point. You don't want to hear the story. You don't want to turn it in. Not by the proper method, not by the papers that I have that say how I'm supposed to turn in this abuse. It says with a friend or family member. With a friend or family member. All right? The difference between them treating me like I'm schizophrenic and them doing their job is whether you tell them that it's true. It's obvious that they want to pretend that the threats against my life are schizophrenic delusions. It's also obvious that Roy has seen threats against my life. He's also seen what happened to my vehicle. He also claims that he went out and tried to push my vehicle because they put a sticker on it while I was locked up because they wanted to tow it. You know who had it towed? Officer David Martinez. He got to abuse his power to retaliate against me because rather than helping to turn it in, which is what the instructions say to do, people wanted to argue. They know better. Everybody knows better. Everybody is a fucking pocket lawyer when it comes to not wanting to fucking do the right thing. All of a sudden, everybody's a pocket lawyer and everybody thinks that they know better. Those are also people who will say over and over again that they're not lawyers. Really, you could have fooled me. You seem to think that you're a lawyer when it comes to trying to cheapskate your way out of telling the truth. Like Candace Bondurant, for example, or the Candace who worked here at the Safeway. Or let's just call out the names of the people who worked there at the Safeway that wanted to, instead of turning in what they personally saw, like Miranda, like Mona, did they turn it in with me? No, they said, I thought Candace was helping you with that. I thought Candy was helping you with that. I thought Candy was helping you with that. Well, you know, through literally 3 months worth of her having a illness, every time it came to turning it in or looking at evidence, yeah, it's pretty obvious that she wasn't ever going to come through. Matter of fact, when she finally did, quote unquote, come through, she didn't write her name down as a witness. No, she wrote down her name as a random person. Now, Cynthia did put a stop to her husband doing this shit. She's also recorded on my channel speaking about how Andrew's her buddy, or Andrew's his buddy, and he does whatever Andrew wants. Cynthia, her daughter, Candace, Miranda, these are all witnesses to these situations. These are all witnesses that should have been spoken to. Many of these were people who were witnesses who wrote written reports. but I can't turn in a written report to a police officer who refuses to look at it, or a mental health worker who refuses to look at it, because you're not there. And since you're not there, they get to say things like, well, how do we know that you didn't write that? And when I tell people that that's what they did, these people tell me, well, you should have said this, you should have said that. You should have told them that they should call these people. Well, I did. How about instead of assuming that I didn't, because you're projecting your assumptions by saying that. You assumed that I didn't and projected onto me that I didn't. That's not okay. So Roy says that that's a lie. He also says that they have to investigate just because there's an accusation. That's absolutely true on paper.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. They're supposed to act on a report. They don't need corrupt.
He's right. They are supposed to act on a report, but they didn't. They bullied me because I was alone. When somebody is going to be predatory, they are more likely to be predatory towards someone who's alone. A rapist is more likely to rape you when he has you alone than he is to rape you on the kitchen table in the middle of a raging party with hundreds of people. There's a reason that they pick people who are isolated. When you say self-imposed isolation, you're trying to insinuate that I'm harming myself mentally by choosing isolation. No, I'm choosing to hide from physical assaults. I'm choosing to hide from false accusations. I have to have a friend or family member turn it in with me, or it won't be taken seriously. You know, he's absolutely right about the fact that they're supposed to act on it immediately, but they didn't. That's the point. They didn't. And why didn't they? Because I was alone. I didn't have a friend or family member there with me. That's why the advice that we are given by attorneys is to go in with a friend or family member. Do not turn it in alone. You are too easy to take advantage of. It is too easy for them to say mentally ill and deny you all of your rights. Between Roy's opinion and what the attorneys, not public defenders, but actual attorneys told me, and no, a public defender is not an actual attorney. They work for the state. They do not work for you. They get paid whether they win or lose. It doesn't matter to them if you spend 20 years of your life in prison for something that you didn't do. What they care about is getting paid at the taxpayer's expense. They don't give a fuck about you. A lot of people say, well, why don't you get a pro bono lawyer? A pro bono lawyer won't listen without a friend or family member. They've told me over and over and over again, we have to have someone verify that you're telling the truth, or we can't do anything. If these people are calling you mentally ill, there's a lot of things they can do to deny your rights. You need a friend or family member. There's also more than one of them who said that they quit being public defenders because public defenders aren't allowed to defend their clients. Chalk that up to good luck, right? It's not that Roy is wrong on paper. He's 100% right on paper, but we don't live on paper. In reality, regardless of what a law book says, without a system of checks and balances, there's no teeth to prevent them from doing those things. First thing you have to do is catch them doing it, which I have already done. I've got recording after recording of them doing it. I've got recording after recording of me trying to turn in the police and getting sent around in circles in Nebraska, followed by a Nebraska State Patrol saying they were finally going to send somebody out, and instead, Scott DaCosta showed up and started beating on the door. The thing is that they're so ingrained in trying to hide the crimes that they committed as police officers, as mental health workers. Yeah, they've already committed enough felonies that they'll go to prison if they got busted. They might as well commit more. Whatever it takes to prevent me from turning in the evidence. But it's not like the people who are witnesses are taking any sort of active role in turning it in. Now let's play that one more again.
Information about the evidence that I send along with it. They just tell me that they can't see it. It doesn't matter what I type, somebody else has to verify I'm telling the truth.
Example, if I send a letter, somebody has to verify that I sent that letter. The letters that I sent to Roy, he can verify that I sent those letters. If he can find them, he can verify exactly what's in them by showing the actual evidence. When I wrote to him that I needed him to come pick up my stuff because there was evidence that the police had committed crimes and that evidence needed to be saved, and it needed to be saved within 30 days or they were going to fucking destroy it. This is how they send you into a panic attack as a victim. They take away your evidence, slander your name, and then try to get somebody else to rubber stamp your ass. I'm supposed to tell a friend or family member when this shit happens, so that a friend or family member is aware and can turn it in with me for my safety. Those are my instructions as a disabled person, for my safety, for my safety. These are the instructions for disabled people that are given to disabled people because they have been proven to work time and time again. It has also been proven that if you don't do those things, that person will continue to be victimized until they fucking kill themselves. That is reality. I keep trying to hold out hope because there's so many witnesses. The problem is that the witnesses won't even try to come forward. They'll argue with me that them verifying I tell the truth isn't going to work without ever trying it, without even actually trying it. None of these people actually tried. Well, I should change that to, in specifically, none of these people actually tried when it made a difference. They procrastinated and blew me off and treated me like it was no big deal. When your disabled friend is coming to you because they're being abused and you blow them off like it's no big deal, and you want to pull the 20 questions, if you called this place, if you called that place, it doesn't matter who I called because I had to call them alone. So let's not play this guessing game to try to guess until we find a fucking place that I haven't called yet. We're not playing that fucking game. It's a game. It's a game that is played by people who don't give a shit about you, who don't care that you're being assaulted, don't care that people are threatening your life, don't care that people are threatening your sister's life. Roy has seen the threats against my sister's life. He has seen evidence of the coercion. He has seen evidence that the things that the police wanted to claim are delusions are absolutely not delusions. Where is the complication here?
Which is a lie.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. They're supposed to act on a report. They don't need.
Yeah, they are supposed to act on a report, but they don't. They talk the victim in circles and send them to mental health. And mental health, instead of doing their jobs, wants to set us up for therapy so that they can rip off the American taxpayer. Therapists are fucking useless. Therapists have no problems with being lying sacks of shit and just making something up instead of asking. Now, the person who is the worst about that was Ashley Astoup, but she's supposedly a close personal friend of John Goopbazal. Sorry, Herschel Brown. Like I said, lots of fucking public pretenders who are too fucking lazy to do their goddamn jobs. These are all mandatory reporters. All of them. All of them. Every single attorney in the state of Oregon is a mandatory reporter. They do have to do their job. If you tell them about abuse that you are enduring in the fucking jail, they have to do something right away. They are not allowed to refuse to do their job right away. It's illegal, but only on paper. And if nobody else gives a shit or they drag their fucking feet and make excuses for years, these predators get away with it. Regardless of your fucking opinion of how it's supposed to be, the reality of the situation is completely different from your fucking opinion. So instead of shoveling your horseshit fucking opinion on me because you have chosen to remain ignorant, try looking at the fucking evidence. If there's something that you don't believe, I will play the fucking recordings for you. I will dig through for literally hours to find the one fucking recording that you're looking for, and the chances are that it's going to take me days or possibly weeks. When Roy tells me that he spent 2 weeks going through those videos. When? How far into that situation did he spend those 2 weeks? Why did he not come forward with me about the fact that he spent 2 weeks going through those videos? Why didn't he come forward about his part? You can tell me it's a lie all you want. I'm telling you how it is in reality. I get how it's supposed to be on paper, but it does not work in real life without a system of checks and balances. That's why we record. That's why we don't go in alone. So these officers can't pretend that it didn't happen and get away with it.
But they haven't been, and that's why we're told as disabled person that someone has to go in with us, because they can refuse to do their job if we go in alone. They can pretend that the accusation of abuse is not credible because I'm disabled or because I'm in a state of crisis. The way that it's supposed to work versus the way that it actually works are not the same. That's why attorneys told me don't go in alone and make sure you're recorded. Yes, they're supposed to act on the accusations of abuse, but they didn't. They sent me around in circles. I've got recordings of them sending me around in circles.
Now let's take a look at what he's saying versus the situation with Zaid Atkinson and the situation with Samuel Leon Lawrence IV. What was the difference between me and them? They had people who cared to help to turn it in right away instead of make fucking excuses. If you don't help me to turn it in right away, I have to do desperate shit to try to turn in the fucking abuse in the hopes of getting a stop put to it, because you're not going to lift a goddamn finger. You're going to fucking argue whatever argument that you have to make so that you don't have to lift a finger, so that you can look the other way. You want to use how it's supposed to be. Well, I don't live in the world of supposed to be. I live in reality. In reality, the police got away with this because there was no witness who went in with me. That's reality. Reality is that they denied me my rights because I had to go in alone. They tried to threaten, harass, and intimidate people into not going in with me. I've got recording after recording with these witnesses. What I don't have is a friend helping me to turn it in. Now today, somebody finally, hopefully is taking the situation seriously. He did make several calls with me, and we got blown off, which I expected. But at least we have it recorded, and at least there's a witness. You want to tell me to do something that is going to take forever. The reason that it's going to take forever is because of your procrastination, not mine. Because between admitting that I told the truth and letting me get treated like I'm a schizophrenic and delusional nut job, you don't give a fuck if I'm treated like a schizophrenic and delusional nut job. Kind of like with Natalie Bollinger. Between asking these people to stop, asking them to leave me alone, and telling the truth, what she wanted to do is play victim even more. And since I didn't have a friend or family member who gave a shit to turn this stuff into the police, I had to go into the police alone by myself. So they didn't do their jobs. That was in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. You telling me how it's supposed to be. You can tell me how it's supposed to be until you're blue in the fucking face. Your assumption does not fit the reality. The reason that they're getting away with this shit is because regardless of what it says on fucking paper, they don't give a shit about that piece of paper. They don't give a shit about the law. And neither do you.
I've tried contacting the media. Everybody's got these ideas of have you contacted this place? Have you contacted that place? The problem is that, yes, I contacted them alone and I was treated like shit, and they don't give you another chance.
All right, so I need to get some goddamn sleep. And that's what I'm going to do, hopefully. Obviously, talking nice and asking people nicely doesn't work. I shouldn't have to scream on the goddamn internet.